What is going on, everybody, and welcome back, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. So today we're going to be talking about budget banging in the way of the JP Enterprises springs. Whether you're doing maintenance or you're building your setup or whatever, you do have a choice still using a mil-spec style trigger to squeeze just a little bit more performance out of it without spending $100, $150, $200, or $300 on some crazy expensive trigger. Now, even though you can gain some performance out of these JP spring kits, it's not going to give you that drop-in flat face trigger or Geisley Timney blackout defense. It's not going to give you that style of trigger because you're inherently still using mil-spec style parts. Now, there are a couple of other versions of that we'll talk about later that you can get into that'll add a little bit more performance, but just keep in mind that this is not going to give you that. Close look at what you're going to get, talk about the performance, do some trigger pulls so you can see the difference that this is going to give you compared to your like 6 to 7 pound mil-spec trigger setup, and see what $12 worth of springs can do for your build. All right, so the JP spring kits. This is the Enhanced Reliability Fire Control spring set. So the JPS 3.5T. There are, give you a good up close look at that, there are a couple different versions of stuff that they sell. So this is this specific kit. There are others with their sear kits and all that that'll be a little bit lighter. So this one is supposed to be in that like 4.5, 5-ish pound placement. And we're gonna check that out with the trigger pull gauge. But let's see what comes in this kit. First of all, you're going to have your instructions here. Plenty to get by. If you don't know anything, there are tons of install videos on this stuff out there that are really good. So we're just gonna go over the kit, the performance, and what you get. So you're going to get these 3 springs right here. That is what is going to come with it, and they're going to be a little bit of a different color so you don't mistake them once they are in, which I'll kind of show you right now. So you can see down in there, there is a color variation. This spring kind of looks purplish on camera, but it's really red. And then you can see down below, you'll have the yellow spring as well. So you have the different colors to signify the actual kit. So as far as the performance in weight, it's definitely noticeable. We're also gonna have a little bit of a better feel in that take-up. So this is a very old lower and a very old trigger setup in here. It's never been changed in this. If you haven't seen the video on this thing, this was like the first rifle that I bought. It's super old, like 2007, and a 2007, 2008, something like that. It's got thousands of rounds through it. Bushmaster, so start laughing now, right? But let's check, okay, that typical mil-spec kind of mush right there. You get to that wall about right here, and then it breaks very cleanly right there. Definitely a noticeable difference over the factory mil-spec stuff. So there's your reset, still very positive, very tactile in that trigger shoe. Again, right there. So the feel of it is definitely much more clean. So we'll do 3 pulls on this, and I'm gonna try to pull right here, kind of in the center of that trigger each time. The lower you pull, the lower you will get as far as the pull weight, but we're gonna try to go right here because that's where they test them at, and see what our pulls come out to. So that one was just a little bit over 5 pounds, 4 ounces. We'll do another one, try to get in the same place. All right, so that one is right at about 5 pounds and 2 ounces. We'll do one more right there. So that one was right there at 5 pounds. And then I'll show you guys, if you pull really low on it, like say down here, there's a significant drop in that pull weight. So finger placement can determine a little bit of the weight. That's why flat triggers are preferred by many people. See how I was able to run this a little bit better than a mil-spec trigger. Well, let's take a good look at some of that range footage. Nothing crazy here, just doing some ready up drills, some transitions, some 6-round bursts out there to kind of get a really good feel for can this speed you up, and all those good things that we're probably gonna be looking for when it comes to putting something like this in your setup. All right, so as you can not only tell from the up close footage and the trigger pulls, but the range footage, I'm no mil-spec mojo, and there's definitely a performance gain that is immediately noticeable out of these springs, both in the weight and how fast you can kind of run that trigger, because it still gives you that great positive reset, but it's much lighter, so you can kind of just work it a little bit faster. Now, I'm no mil-spec mojo, like I said, but there's definitely a noticeable difference. Now, not gonna give you that like multiple $100 drop-in trigger feel, because you're still using that mil-spec curved kind of trigger. There are other options out there as well, like ALG, and even JP has some different options. But I think this, for like 12 or 13 bucks, really is what you can get it for, probably plus a little bit of shipping, is performance we can all live with at a very budget-friendly price, whether, like I said, you're doing maintenance, fresh build, or just changing something out because you want to try something different. It's definitely something you can try without spending a ton of money to see if you want to go any further or if you are happy where you are at. Well, that is what I've got for you today, and I hope that kind of helped you out. I had a bunch of people recommending this kit to me after doing all the different trigger tests I've done, and it's pretty good. For what it is, I gotta say, it's pretty good. And it's something that you can live with if you have like a bunch of different rifles. So you can check out Shall Not Comply. They have my clothing brand, that link's down below. Or you can check out the Patreon. Again, huge shout out to Tac Pack. They've been a sponsor of the channel for a long time. If a buddy's got these, check them out before you buy them. Maybe you can save money. Maybe you'll decide they're the ones you're gonna go with. Have some fun out there. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, even if it's just the springs. I will see you guys on the next one.